Welcome to Deep Dive Daily.
All right. Good morning, Andy. Uh, Pretty great weekend. pretty pretty timely pod we did on Friday. Put that one in the capsule. Send that to the Smithsonian. Um, Good horse racing. Good
Oh
golf.
yeah.
Basketball was pretty entertaining? Question mark. There was some weird stuff happening in the NBA for sure. But let's talk about how was your weekend. And I want to start with the golf because here I thought after Saturday I was going to be able to have Monday to just be so proud that I'm a horse guy now and talk about my winning horses and hit a nice little exacta in the Florida
Yeah.
7-1. Okay, fine. What about golf though? Congratulations to you and Minwoo Lee. How'd that all go?
It was it got a little hairy, Drew. He was up like 4 or 5 shots for a big chunk, but playing it a little safe with the lead and not going for, which is probably smart in a few spots. But he only made 2 mistakes all day. The problem was one of the mistakes was a water ball on 17, while Scotty Scheffler had just made like 4 straight birdies
Boom, boom,
to
boom.
close the lead.
Pressure
And
was coming.
I'm like, oh god, and I was at a volleyball tournament, kind of watch it on my phone.
Oh
Brutal.
no.
I know, and it's like, of course, this is the day that we play well, and that we just keep doing, advancing, and they're into the finals of the gold bracket, even the good bracket they made in the finals. I'm like, I just want to go home and watch the end of the ball. Like, I'm so proud of you guys, but I don't want to be at the National Volleyball Center anymore. So I was following along on the phone, and yeah, Minwoo gave us a start. He gave us a startle, but congrats to him and his first win.
Oh,
I know a
sick.
lot of people. Noonan, God
Yeah,
bless
what kind
his
of
heart.
prices? What kind of prices were we talking about here?
So I
40?
got the 3650 for me. I got like
Nice.
the
Okay.
worst of it. Actually, it did get worse throughout the week because
That's a great number.
he was popular amongst the people who believe. There's like two camps of like, yeah, he's a perfect fit, but he's just not a winner, and he's gonna wilt. And the people are like, everybody gets their first win sometimes. And a lot of people did bet him, a lot of smart people. So congrats to, it wasn't like a full ass community win, but like a semi community win. A
Cool.
good win for us at Betsford's Golf because, I mean, all the models we made for the week was just like Scotty, Rory, and then Minwoo was always in the top five. Despite not having, win equity, he was just such a good fit with his, big driver.
Yeah. Where the hell did Gary Woodland come from?
I think he's Texan.
I know, but where did that performance come
Well,
from?
he was so good, and then he had like a brain lesion
Yeah.
that needed some surgery. And I mean, golf is just such a muscle memory and repetition and perfection kind of sport. And you see these guys who have these layoffs and their game suffers. Gary's really good. It's
Okay.
that was fun. I mean, the biggest takeaways. We'll stick on golf a little bit before we get to basketball.
Surely.
Minwoo was great. It was so cool to see him get his first win.
Does he
But
punch his ticket to Augusta with that win?
I think he might have already been in.
Oh, okay.
So you can get in if you're top 50 in the OWGR. So
Yeah.
I think he would have been in regardless. But that's a good point because Michael Kim, who maybe you're not familiar with, but
Sure.
Golf Twitter loves
Yeah.
because
He's the guy that comments on the golf in real time
he
on Twitter,
tweets
right?
so much. He tweets so much, like in a good way. He's great about ask me anything. He responds to people. He's very cordial. He's nice. And he gives out good information because he's like, hey, somebody had a question about like what's my week like normally when I'm traveling, and he goes into great detail. And they're always entertaining reads. This guy has played golf like 12 straight weeks. Like a lot of people take time off and stuff, but like I said, if you can get into the Masters 19 different ways, that's not hyperbole. I think that's the number.
Yeah.
Winning the Masters, winning the U.S. Open, winning the Players, top four. But one of them, outside of winning one of the tournaments in the past year, is to be in the top 50 in the OWGR.
Okay.
And he was like 125 a couple months ago. Not close.
Sure.
So he just started playing really good golf, and then he started playing really good golf every week. And this is the cutoff week, and he slid in.
Oh,
So I hope he just takes this week off. I hope he
Dude,
just pulls out of Houston. He's beloved and it's cool. So he is heading to the Masters. That's great. And then the Rory. A lot of people were like, "Oh my God, Rory's looking so good heading into Augusta." It's like people are just glossing over the top of the leaderboard, and they're like, Scotty was really, really good too. Like
Yeah.
it might be, hey, Rory's coming into form, but Scotty wins by 4. So Augusta's just gonna fuck next week.
It's going to be fun. Yeah. Minwoo Lee was 55 heading into the week. Now he's 22
Oh, shit,
with the win.
shit.
So he was tickling not being eligible. He finished 2024 at number 49. So yeah, he's been flirting with playing or not playing Augusta all spring, and now he's in. Very cool story for Mr. Minwoo Lee, and congrats to our friends at Bet Spirits Golf for getting some big old bets down on him. That kind of number, like winning a number like that, you could talk about it more clearly than I can, but like when you're playing golf outrights, shit, when you're betting horses, like you just kind of get inured to losing because you're like, yeah, I'm going to win 1 out of 10 bets. like yeah, you just kind of get used to it, and then you hit a number like that, and it's like, well, nope, bang, we're in the green.
Yeah, it just pays for the last 20
Yeah.
losers.
Yeah, bang. Very cool. Very cool. All right. The sticking on the country club sports, RIP and peace to Pegula against Sabalenka, but we have
the men's final was fucking something.
Woo-wee. Did you watch any of that?
A little bit. That's
It was buried in the night because they had a rain delay that pushed it back probably like 6-ish hours. But Jakub Mensik, the Czech teenager, had his breakout moment, defeating Novak Djokovic 7-6, 7-6. Both tie breaks were 7-4 to the good. The key kind of takeaway as you break down that particular match, aces, winners. Like he was sublime. That was amazing. Like that type of performance and the biggest match of his career to that moment against an all-time great, maybe the all-time greatest tennis player across from you is pretty amazing. So yeah, hat tip to Mensik, man. I did not see this coming, certainly at Miami. I did not know that he was going to have his breakout in 2025. I kind of had him tapped for, let's check on his progress in 2026, 2027, as opposed to he's here now. But very exciting moment for men's tennis to have like Draper breakout at Indian Wells and now Mensik breakout here at Miami. And very cool that this next class is coming up.
It feels like it needed to catch up to the women. Because the women just have like 2 Eastern European teenagers that pop up every 6 months, like infinitely, constantly, in perpetuity. Like, oh, here's just 2 more girls from the Czech Republic who are really good, and they're in 9th grade, and then the next 3, and you get 2 more in the fall, and then there's every once in a while
we're calling
we get a
it
decent
Czechia
American.
now.
Czechia. It is Czechia. It's like Turkey.
But yeah, let's quick look ahead to the start of clay. The U.S. Clay Championship.
This one sucks. Don't bet on this Andy fight. Do you like rain delays? You should watch tennis this week. This one always has rain delays, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, always. And clay tennis is it's an acquired taste, right? It's a big pivot. If you're used to watching hardcourt and then you jump to clay, you're just like, what am I watching? Like it's a different sport practically. The clay tennis in Houston is interesting because the color of the clay is unique. It's like a darker, it's like a brown. It's almost like a muddy brown. And then we have Charleston also, which is green clay. There's a rich history of the green clay in Charleston, which I'm not prepared to talk about, but we'll cover it later in the week. The Houston U.S. Clay Court Championship. Andy, would you be surprised to know that this has been contested since 1910? It used to like move around from city to city. I think it's been hosted in over 24 cities around the country. Some absolutely hilarious stops along the way, but it's been in Houston for a while. maybe at least the last 20 years, maybe longer. And it's kind of the only chance for U.S. men to win a clay title on the calendar. Otherwise, the Europeans and the South Americans run amok when it gets to clay season. Really, really good match today with Mickelson versus Leonard Tien. Tien's game should translate well to clay, but who the hell knows? Because these guys just never really play on clay. Could get weird. I know the 2 top seeds, Tommy Paul and Francis Tiafoe, are both wildly out of form. So taking on either one of those guys is an easy call, yes, in my opinion. I don't have any outrights here, but I think this is a very flat earth where if you want to try to grab a couple of just absolute bombs and see if they can run through this thing, then go for it. The key to playing the outrights would be trying to pick on the weaker half of the draw, which in my opinion is the bottom half. I could see the winner of the Mickelson Tien, for instance, going to the final because the bottom half is that weak. But yeah, the clay gets kicked off in Sincerity this week, but really gets cooking next week. And we get to find out what the hell's going on with Carlos Alcaraz, who still looks broken. And not loving what I'm hearing out of his camp in general. So could make the spring very interesting for more breakout potential. But we move on. Do you enjoy anything about March Madness?
I mean, it's fine. I've finally just given in and said, well, like, Duke -7. Okay. It's kind of like I joked about the Yankees team total with these bats. I bet that heavier than I should be betting baseball, which I barely follow yesterday, because I looked at it and I read up about these bats they had. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I think they could score 5 runs if that's plus money. And fuck that, it came in easy. Same thing with Duke. Just looking at it and looking how they're playing and how good Flag is. And yeah, I love Alabama and some of these SEC teams, but it's like, well, I'm going to just take the stupid donkey public side chalk here and Duke -7. Perfect. Easy. Houston -2.5. Perfect. Easy. I'm just giving in to stopping, not overthinking these. I didn't bet, did Florida get there? Actually, the Florida Texas Tech was the close game on Saturday. Houston was a rout. I didn't get in on Auburn. I did have some respect for the H to the Izzo there. Actually, they covered too. That was 5. Yeah. So a lot of favorites covering, a lot of chalk, all the 1 seeds. Good for us. We got
How's
some
your bracket
though.
doing? No brackets have been busted this entire 2 weeks to this point.
Well, my kid did pick UConn, so. I lost my home one just because everything's so chalky. Like I'm in this other competition, and it's like, hey, this is decided because so many people have the same stuff. Like,
it's over, yeah.
Literally the same thing. So I looked at our home league between my wife and kids, and it's just like, well, it's between my wife and my daughter. Like, I literally can't gain points on anyone right now because everything's so similar. So I've lost to the women again.
We made a joke on the very first ever Deep Dive Daily that tune in April 5th for the start of the tournament, and now here we are. It is looking, I mean, you tell me, Houston Duke, is that effectively the de facto championship based on what you've seen?
I don't know, Auburn's still pretty good. I think Duke should be favored over Auburn, though. I mean, Duke should be favored over everyone. They're about what, even money, plus 110 to win the tournament. It sounds right. Okay. Houston can beat them, but it should be for the championship. I think Houston would be favored over Auburn.
They are playing in Texas at the Alamo Dome down in San Antonio.
And again, Florida continues to look like the weakest. Still a very good team, wildly good team, but
2.5 point favorites over Auburn, man. I generally think that it's probably dog in these semifinals, but I have a lot more work to do to get to any type of action.
4.5's a bunch, isn't it?
Big number. Everybody, I mean, you can't really use Bart Torvik's numbers for Houston handicapping. I learned that a couple years ago because for some reason, his Houston number is always completely out of whack relative to market. So take it with a grain of salt, but I think he probably has Houston favored, right? That'd be my guess.
I'd have to look for sure,
Upcoming
though.
games. Anyway, yeah, I'm at a Survivor. It was fun while it lasted. Yeah, he has Houston favored by 0.7, 65-64. Cougars over the Blue Devils. I think Duke's just winning this, and I've felt that way for a while. And no thanks to anyone else, by the way, in all of college basketball. No one could make this easier for us. Thanks for nothing. But that's fun. I guess the expectation would be if market support has Duke 4.5-point favorites against Houston, then they're going to be 6.5 against Auburn and probably 5.5, somewhere between 5.5 and 6 against Florida would be my guess. But we shall see.
I think I'm going to bet Auburn just straight up. I disagree with the number.
Okay.
In my,
you have Auburn as a small favorite?
Just like a pick or Florida -1. I don't know.
Money line for Auburn is +125. Money line for Duke is -215. So if you can get Duke national title at -110, that's probably better than the rollover is going to give you.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, I don't have any other general basketball thoughts.
I kind of ran out of basketball.
What do you say? Like, the best teams won. Like, surprise. NBA was pretty quiet over the weekend. The only kind of notable thing that happened was the Grizzlies. They fired the coach and got in a big old fight.
There was something in the Timberwolves game.
Oh, was that was Minnesota versus Detroit? Yeah, little mouse.
That was kind of a banger of a fight.
Yeah.
Unless you have Draymond involved, like, NBA fights are usually pretty weak.
Yeah.
And Jesus, that was a good one.
Minnesota, Detroit. I don't have a strong opinion there one way or the other, but I guess going back to the Grizzlies firing Jenkins, I don't get it. I think it's stupid. I can't believe that they're just making their bed with Ja Morant and his camp and letting them make the calls, which is what it sounds like from the reporting. This was just he didn't like the offense. Okay. Ja Morant is such a fragile dude. And
he's always made good decisions. I think you stick with Ja. Like, hey, this guy's got a sound thinking process. Let's do what he says.
Clear-eyed, good as can be. The Grizzlies, to me, are attacking aggressively the wrong direction. They're going to find themselves in the 7-8 game against your Timberwolves, which is bad news for the Grizzlies, Andy, because the Timberwolves are play-in champs.
Grizzled play-in vets.
Grizzled play-in vets. And if I had to call it right now, I think the Grizzlies are probably your 8 seed, assuming they can beat the Kings or, maybe the Mavericks limp through. Who the hell knows? Suns certainly aren't playing well enough to get into the 9-10 game at this point. But Grizz probably your 8th seed, which is great news for anyone holding Thunder equity, as that series price for me is somewhere in the -1,200 range for the Thunder, which is as good as you could hope for, I think, for a round one opponent. At least considering the other options that have been floating around. Like, the Clippers are playing phenomenal. I know they lost yesterday to the Cavs, but Kawhi's just right. Norm Powell's right now. Like, this Clippers team is good. I don't want to play them in round one. The Warriors are second best team in the West, and by my numbers, don't want to play them. Timberwolves are nasty. They have a gear that is good enough that it would be fun for them to not be your round one draw if you're the Thunder. So this is working out as, I think, ideally as possible for the Thunder, potentially matching up with the Grizz, who are right now projecting them to be the 8th seed with 47 wins, which is just below this tranche of kind of competitive teams of Timberwolves, Warriors, Clippers. Yeah. All right. No other thoughts. Not a lot of movement in the awards markets. Not a lot cooking there. I think the Draymond Green DPOY train rolls on. I think that's just happening.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't watch NBA, man.
Yeah.
I just saw the fight. I saw the fight on Twitter. Football, we'll probably get back into the draft next week again. as we continue to get more and more news on that, and we'll be in April. And April is draft month.
Yeah.
I got an email from Chernoff about early thoughts on win totals.
Okay.
And I started to read it, and I'm like, fuck, I just can't do this. I don't think anyone should be doing this. Like, betting. And to preface, I used to bet win totals very early and realized, like, even if I have, like, an edge on this, it's small, and over the course, I'm going to win, like, 55%, and I'm sitting these money for, like, 11 months. I can't do it. But I do want to come back and say it's maybe not a bad idea if you do power numbers, to take your power numbers, look at where you're at, and look at, what the big moves, the important stuff that's happened in free agency, and start thinking about your adjustments just to kind of get you a little leg up. Like, it's not too early to look at NFL for that, for certain, if you want to start looking at that. And I think that's where I think those win totals are maybe a good indicator of, where the market's coming in at. So you can get a little bit of a, hey, I need to move the Raiders up a lot. I don't.
Sure.
I think Geno sucks. Like, I don't think Geno's like a top 10 quarterback.
That's a strong take.
Well, like he's a lot better. Like, it's a huge upgrade, obviously. Okay. But he still sucks at times. Like,
it's so brave. Geno's a huge upgrade over AOC, that's great. What a take!
It is a brave take. Well, either way, I'm saying
cool it off. It's Monday. Oh, okay.
I'm saying you can get a good bearing for where your upgrade should be.
Of course, yeah.
And so I think it's fun if you need something to do when March Madness is over here, waiting for Augusta. It might be a good time to sit down and take, like, the 10 teams that made meaningful moves, pluses or minuses, and make some little adjustments and think about why, and then go look at the win totals and be like, I'm still a little low on this team. Market thinks a little more, and don't just say, well, I'm a little low, I need to bump them up more. Trust me.
No, the fun part of that exercise, in my opinion, is you look at where, if they're, like, clustered, like the fact that the AFC West all got a little bit better and coming up on the Chiefs is kind of an interesting, just macro kind of thought. Just go through that process. I'm there. I'm too busy with horses, man. I'm full on in the weeds now. The two derbies I just wanted to comment on real quickly over the weekend. If you missed them, I learned something interesting in the Florida Derby, Andy. It's Tappan Street, not Tappan Street. I don't understand why Tappan is Tappan, like rhymes with Japan, but so be it.
If you name a horse, you can pronounce it.
Tappan Street. He was awesome in the Florida Derby. Comes in over Sovereignty. That was, again, kind of like the absolute perfect field for him. He was stalker off of a fast-ish pace. Ate up the speed on coming around the corner, and then the race was just a little bit too short for Sovereignty's kick to be a factor, as he is a dead nut closer. I still think Sovereignty is the best horse out of that group, but the Exacta came in as a 7-1 payout there, which was pretty nice. Of course, I boxed it, so I got 7-2, but so be it. The Tappan Street is not a factor for me in the Kentucky Derby, although he is, again, he's a good horse and nice. Stalker is kind of a nice running style for hitting the board in the Derby. I'm certainly going to have him in my superfecta pyramid. The Arkansas Derby was also fun. Did you watch that one? You're muted.
Sorry, I had a big cough.
No.
I didn't catch either. It's funny,
No?
I did catch some UFL by accident. No, I didn't. I did check the results. I was happy to see the box come in.
If you're gonna rewatch one, rewatch the Arkansas Derby. Do you remember the handicap was basically just bet against? It was a bet against Cornucopian, who went off as a 4-5 favorite, and the Speed King Cornucopian broke clean. And they were out in a 45-1 first half mile. It was, like, laughably funny how aggressively they burned that first half, and then Sandman Sandman just
And then it was
Sandman, yes, Sandman just reeled him in, and then Sandman down the stretch, he did his descent. Do you remember Tapit Trice from a couple years ago? That big
I do.
guy that just like couldn't run in a straight line. Sandman was doing a little bit of that. He's also a Tapit horse. He was doing the same sort of thing, coming down the home stretch, just kind of meandering. Barely, he held off Publisher. It was a good run for him from him. Sandman will not be on my Derby triangle. He's a fine horse, but he's going to be overbet for sure. I don't think he's a factor in the race.
Well, and sometimes too, I think
he's not going to be in the race probably because
people get into dumb handicaps when they get into like, oh, the Arkansas Derby produced a winner last year, and
it's been a while since the Arkansas Derby.
Oh, it had been like a decade before that, but Mystic Dan won the Arkansas Derby, and people were like,
did he?
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
I thought
win.
he did.
He didn't win. I think the last Arkansas Derby winner was Streets. It's been a really long time since we've had an Arkansas Derby winner take down the Kentucky Derby. I want to say like 2004, maybe. Mystic Dan.
Maybe Mystic Dan is just from Arkansas. Although I was right about Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Open.
Oh yeah, you were right about that.
It's just funny. I saw a tweet from Jose Morgado that put "and Cincinnati" in parentheses.
Yeah, there have been 8 winners.
20.
Last year's champion Mystic Dan did win, or he ran in it. I don't think he won the Arkansas Derby, but he
was
ran
at
in
least
it.
there.
Yeah, he might have hit the board in the Arkansas Derby. I think the Arkansas Derby wasn't it?
Muth.
Didn't Muth won, but he was
won
ineligible because he was a Baffert trainee. That's what I remember. Yeah, okay. But Mystic Dan was in it and then went on to win. AI is wrong. This is funny, man.
When you go and Google, you got to scroll past that. It's wrong.
Yeah, the AI is dead wrong. It says, 8 Arkansas Derby winners have gone on to win the Kentucky Derby, with last year's champion Mystic Dan being the most recent. That is not correct. He did not win the Arkansas Derby last year, unless they are counting like did Muth get disqualified for cheating or something? Maybe.
I don't know. Did they take it away?
I didn't hear about it.
I think he was allowed to. He was allowed to run at Hot Springs.
Muth ran at the Preakness. Like he was not. Yeah,
I know, but I think he was still banned from Kentucky.
He was banned from Kentucky just because he was he was trained by because Baffert was banned. The last Arkansas Derby winner to win the Kentucky Derby, Andy, was American Pharoah in 2015.
That was a good horse.
This is a very good horse. American Pharoah. There's beyond just the Arkansas and the Florida Derby, which again, like, I don't think you can take much, except Tapan Street is going to hit the board at the Kentucky Derby. Sovereignty is going to hit the board at the Kentucky Derby. So those two matter. But I don't think any of the Arkansas Derby horses are going to be a factor. And I don't think Cornucopian's going to run, which means we still are wondering who is going to be sort of the sharp Baffert horse in the race. We're going to find out at the Santa Anita Derby this weekend between Barnes and Citizen Bull, who is the better of the Bafferts there. But there was an American Pharoah colt in Japan who qualified for the Derby. Andy, we know who our Japan horse is. It's Luxor Cafe, who comes out of American Pharoah. That will be representing
comes out of
out. Well, they horses, they say that all the time.
I know,
it's Luxor Cafe out of American Pharoah, right? Even though whatever.
No, it sounds pretty gross.
Yes.
You're talking about the semen.
Well, whatever the case is, more horse racing coverage as we get to the end of this week.
What's our next one?
Bluegrass at Keeneland on Saturday, Wood Memorial at Aqueduct on Saturday, and Santa Anita Derby rounds out the 100-point win and you're in qualifiers on Saturday.
I like it.
You know what though, Andy? It's a lot of noise. There's a lot of good horses in these 3 races, and none of them's winning the Kentucky Derby. Your Kentucky Derby winner is flying under the radar right now.
I was gonna say you should say your Kentucky Derby winner is, and I'll cut off the stream.
We'll save it for
Catch
Friday.
you here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Save it Friday.
Yeah.
All right. Enjoy the day baseball. Enjoy the basketball. Enjoy the smaller tournaments. And let's get ready for